The record essentially started in my basement, and the idea was for me to record without any time constraints, real money constraints, and really get into a lot of new keyboards or old keyboards. I bought some new drum machines, old drum machines. I'm really trying to mess with the palette of what we've got, because I feel like when you want to try and lure the world into what you're doing rather than just a small portion of people, you have to compete with electronic music, you have to compete with hip hop, and their palette is incredibly wide. They can sample anything they want. So in those first 4, 8 bars, they can come at you with anything. Whereas a traditional songwriter, as it were, usually is dealing with a similar palette that we've been dealing with since 1950, whatever. So that was interesting me in the early stages. How can I learn from what I did back in the day on Music is Power and Bittersweet Symphony and those looping elements and some of those textures, and how do I bring that into songwriting? And when I met Mirrorways and did a bit of work with him on the tune Out of My Body, I think he helped spin that around so you have this feeling of you're in a Johnny Cash song and then you're suddenly spun out into this electronic funk. So there has been collaboration on this record, but not much, and a lot of it originally was played by myself in the basement. And you know, I think that's been, the next album for me will be a lot quicker, purely because some of this time has been spent, you know, you have to learn to make music. To me, you've got to kind of like get your head around a few instruments. You know, if you're not relying on a super producer, or you're not relying on someone to come in and give their sound to you, or give you a beat, you've got to come up with a beat. I've got to know about beats. I want to know and be able to understand my Oberheim OB8 keyboard and potentially not play it classically, but get something out of it. So much of the great music over the years has been done by people like me, people who didn't really know what they're doing, but they have a feeling in their heads, something they remember from, you know, playing the Stooges full blast in the back of the tour bus, playing the Roses coming home from a party at 6 o'clock in the morning when you were, these feelings you keep forever. And because I'm not musically, what's the word, I don't have the language. My language is feeling. So my whole life I've been searching for those feelings. Like I said years ago, when I used to put my hands either side, when I played Sonic back off Urban Hymns and the big speakers, I was starting to physically have the effect on my body that I wanted these songs to do. And now I'm searching for that all the time. And what happened is, with all the studios closing down, obviously record sales being hit massively by everyone, the whole industry changing, I had to reevaluate how I can still create these super records. So Out of My Body is in the mold of Song for the Lovers, Bittersweet, going right back. It's what I call a proper super old school record, made with modern technology and old stuff to create something that you've never heard before. And even though the album contains things that are very classically written, I still have this burning ambition to find a bed for my vocals and what I'm trying to get across that is as fresh and as new and as different. Because, you know, over the years I've made music where people couldn't hear the chorus, so when we first presented the record company with Bittersweet Symphony, they said they couldn't hear the chorus, the main guys, the big, you know, the ones who know it all. They couldn't hear the chorus. So over the years you come to understand that the big battle is trying to say, look, I've done it before, this is what I do, so just trust me that yes, although you've not heard anything like Out of My Body from any other band or artist from England at the moment, that's the reason. So because you're unfamiliar and feel fearful of it, you want to either criticize it or you want to ignore it. And that's what happened with my last album as well, is that because people didn't quite get where it was coming from, it was better off to ignore it.